A week after Everytown threatened Ruger with lawsuits over their RXM pistol, Connecticut's Attorney General is threatening to sue the gunmaker for violating the state's Firearms Industry Responsibility Act. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I recently covered Everytown announcing they were targeting Ruger after they spearheaded a bunch of lawsuits and a Glock ban bill in California over the handguns being, quote, easily modified by criminals. And in that video I said I wouldn't be surprised if Connecticut's AG hopped on this soon, as he was CC'd in Everytown's threatening letter to Ruger. After all, they think that they took down Glock and so they can take out anyone. And I was right, it took about a week. William Tong has now also sent a letter to Ruger threatening to sue them for designing a gun that can allegedly take a Glock switch and not pulling it off the market in the week since Everytown's letter. But before I get into the details here, this video is brought to you with the help of Blackout Coffee Company. Blackout is my two-way friendly coffee roaster of choice. They have tons of flavors and brews to choose from, even instant. They have tea, hot chocolate, and partner with some of the best gun rights groups out there to help raise money to defend your rights. And every purchase through my link helps support my channel as well. So to get a cup of coffee, tea, or hot chocolate that you can be proud of, go to blackoutcoffee.com/LibertyDoll, and if it is your first time, you can use code LibertyDoll for a one-time 20% discount. Tong posted a press release to the state website informing residents that he has also penned a letter to Ruger, telling the public he has put Ruger on notice because they know, we know, and criminals know that their RXM pistol can be easily converted to an illegal, lethal, fully automatic weapon. They can modify their product to be safer, or they can continue to profit from crime and violence and answer to a lawsuit. The AG's letter cites authority just given to it this year by the Connecticut Firearms Industry Responsibility Act that permits the state to bring civil enforcement actions against gun manufacturers, distributors, marketers, and retailers who fail to implement reasonable controls to prevent the sale of firearms to straw purchasers, firearms traffickers, individuals prohibited from possessing firearms under state or federal law, or individuals the firearm industry member has a reasonable cause to believe intend to use it for a crime or to cause harm to themselves or others. The statute specifically requires the industry to enact reasonable controls to prevent the sale or distribution of a firearm product designed in a manner that is reasonably foreseeable to promote conversion of a legal firearm into an illegal firearm. The letter also cites authority under the Connecticut Unfair Trade Practices Act. In the letter, he accuses the company of willful violations that would cost Ruger $5,000 per alleged violation. How they would prove that Ruger purposefully made and marketed their RXM for criminals, I don't know, but it's Connecticut. A big chunk of the letter is basically a copy-paste of Everytown's, citing the same criminal incidents, none of which were committed with Ruger, and then says how disturbed he was to read in Everytown's letter how Ruger markets the RXM as being able to take Glock accessories. Then he says that, on the heels of Glock's announcement that they'd be discontinuing their current design, it became readily apparent to consumers, which he seems to think is interchangeable with criminals, would have to turn to the RXM to use their already illegal Glock switches. Tong goes on to accuse Ruger of putting profits above safety, then makes some pretty hefty demands. First, a statement from Ruger on what the company plans to do with its RXM pistol. Then he basically tells Ruger that he will be requesting all of their company documents from 2020 on, specifically any internal documents relating to Glock switches or Ruger's ability to use them and how that might impact crime and violence, design and development documents on their firing mechanisms, how easily they might be converted to full auto, and if there was any discussion on reducing that alleged functionality, the company's knowledge on state and federal laws relating to the firearm industry, including laws against Glock switches and whether or not they complied with those laws, which I don't see how this is relevant because Glock switches are illegal and Ruger doesn't make them. Pretty much all of Ruger's financial information, and if there was any cost analysis on changing their designs, pretty much all marketing and advertising documents, any correspondence with the ATF or law enforcement concerning the RXM, all communications between Ruger and Magpul concerning the RXM, any information around the company's alleged knowledge that the RXM could take a Glock switch, and any information on Ruger's knowledge that Glock would be changing their designs. Now, as I said in my last video, there is zero evidence of an RXM with a switch being used in a crime in Connecticut or anywhere else. Even Everytown admitted this, but they said it was only a matter of time, so they were acting preemptively against Ruger, accusing them of pre-crime, more or less. What's also interesting here is that Connecticut was not one of these states to sue Glock, though Tong signed on to a letter written by a bunch of other AGs against Glock that was also basically a copy-paste of this one. Now, the law that Tong says would allow him to come after Ruger is a flawed one for obvious reasons, but beyond the Second Amendment argument and constitutionality, it says again, that lawsuits can be brought against any company that fails to enact reasonable controls to prevent the sale or distribution of a firearm product designed in a manner that is reasonably foreseeable to promote conversion of a legal firearm into an illegal firearm. Reasonable is a pretty broad term, and so is reasonably foreseeable. By this logic, you could say, well, any rifle company would count because all someone has to do is cut down the barrel and boom, you have an SBR. Same for shotguns. Technically, this could include any pistols with, I am told, a rubber band or belt loop. So following that logic, this law allows people to bring lawsuits against pretty much any gun company at all. With Glock caving to the lawsuits and gun bans, we'll see if Ruger takes a similar approach or tells Tong and Everytown to kick rocks. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. You guys know the drill. For all of the outgrown things, please do them. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting.